Welcome back to the Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. I am so excited that you're here, and I hope that you are getting some tools, tips, techniques, and excitement about what we're doing here and where we're going to go. We're going to wrap up the mindset part of it today, and starting tomorrow, aka the next episode, we're going to start looking into specific things and start explaining things to you as far as what are these deals, where to find them, how does it work, about the money, the whole 9 yards. That is going to be hopefully something that is going to be helpful to you. And final piece over here, I want to recap some of the stuff that we talked about. We talked about visualization and importance of it. We talked about thinking about how you're going to deal with the haters and how do you bring people that are important to you alongside with your journey. That doesn't mean that they need to do the stuff that you're doing. They just need to understand what you want to do and hopefully are being supportive of you. And if not, you're going to have to make potentially some very tough choices in your life. And I don't envy you, but I've been there. I understand it, and you can do it, is all I'm going to say. We've also talked about taking notes, being an active learner in the whole thing, and then above all, also taking action of the stuff. Now, if you were able to have a conversation with people that are important in your life about the ideas and things that you're thinking about, hopefully these are the things that you have been talking to them about, like, hey, I'm looking for a different way to make money or start my own business or start investing or whatever it is that you want to do, that your significant other is going to be alongside with you. Now, we're going to talk about the mindset and money. We're going to talk about money a little bit later, about how you get and all of that kind of stuff. But we have a very interesting connection with money in our mind, right? And I'm sure if you have ever listened or watched or even read anything by, say, Robert Kiyosaki, for example, that he always talks about like our money mindset, and that he talks about like how do we think about money, and what are the things that we've been taught about money, and right, like the sayings we have about it, like rich are greedy, or you know poor as dirt, or by the way, some rich are greedy and some are not. Dirt is sometimes really poor and you don't want it, and some dirt is like really amazing and you definitely want it, and it grows some amazing things. We can't afford it, for example, right? I'm never going to be able to pay this debt down. Filthy rich, all kinds of the sayings that we have. I'm sure you have some of those. And if you would entertain me for a moment and help me help you, is I would suggest pausing this, or maybe at the end of this particular session, sit down and jot some of the things that you've been told about money or you believe about money, whether it's that it doesn't come easy and it doesn't grow on trees, or maybe you have a belief that money is dirty somehow, and that's the reason why whenever it comes to your life you spend it as quickly as you can. Or maybe you love money so much that you feel comfortable knowing that, like, I've saved up all this money and I don't want to risk it by investing it. Now, every investment out there has risks. One piece that I want to share with you, that nothing in this video, in the upcoming videos, in the previous videos, or any videos that I make are or should be used as investment advice. They are for educational and entertainment purposes only, to open up your eyes and to get you to start thinking and hopefully inspire you to research and learn more about it. And if you need a financial advisor and planner, then there are certified individuals who are licensed to do that. I am not it. So I just wanted to put that out there as a caveat in case you're thinking, ooh, this guy. No, 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 no. I don't think so. Not doing that. I'm not one of those. I don't do that stuff. So do your own research, do your own thinking, do your own actions. All I share is what are the things out there that exist, what I have done, what I would do, and when I would do, I would actually say that I would do, just in order and in hope to actually get you excited, motivated, educated, inspired to consider things and to start looking at stuff for your own benefit. So when we talk about money, is that sometimes we think that we are a poor money manager, for example, right? And you're like, Every time I come in money, I have no clue how much it comes in. I have no clue what goes out. I just know that at the end of my money, there's more month left, right? And what we want is at the end of our month to have more money left. And we want our money to grow. Now here's the part. If you are, and we have a few different sort of personalities here. And two most prevalent ones is that we have savers and we have spenders. That's right. You probably know which one you are. Now, if you're a saver, you're the type of person that is very risk averse and you like to go and have this comfortable job that is guaranteed and the money comes in every Friday or every other Friday or on the first or whatever, however you get paid. And then you put your money into your bank account and it goes into savings account and you pay your little, things that you need to do like groceries and car and housing and that kind of stuff. And then you put stuff into the savings and you just like to look at it and see that this savings number is growing. Nothing wrong with that. That's just your personality. And whenever you have to spend more than what you budgeted and you get very excited about budgets, you get very stressed out. On the other hand, you might be a spender. Whatever money comes in, money goes out. So Friday's a payday, Friday night is a party night, right? So you get paid, you run to the bank, you deposit it in, party up, right? Drinks on me, whatever, because we like to live large. And then Monday comes in, you're like, well, I guess it's gonna be beans and rice for the next 4 days because I gotta go to work until the money comes in. Again, nothing wrong with it. You have your own life. Now, some of us might be what folks in psychology might call the crazy eight or the infinity sign. And you might be the type of person that just goes and you get paid and you save up, save up, save up, save up, and you're like, woohoo, look at all this money. And then you go bananas wild and you start spending. You're like, vacation, drinks on me, dinners, cars, shoes, suits. And then you go down and you're like, oh crap, I don't have any money. I can't do anything. And then you go save, 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 save. And then when you come save, then you go right back down into the spending. So that's why we call it the crazy eight, because you swing from one side to the other, one side to the other. And it's important to understand which one of these personalities you are. The fourth personality, not as prevalent, but it still exists, are the people that are saying, you know, my health and the world are the only things important to me. And money is useless. I don't like it. I don't care about it. And guess what? You likely don't have a whole lot of it either. Because you simply just don't even acknowledge that it exists and it does have some level of importance in our lives. Now, I do want to say one thing. More money does not equal more happiness. We can all agree to that. You can put it down in your little book as a myth that you've heard, or a fact that you heard, or a belief that you have. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. Happiness is happiness. Money is money. I can be happy poor. I can be happy rich. I can't buy happiness whether I have money or not. I can't buy health, although you can buy really good health insurance and the health providers with more money. So money allows us to become more of who we are anyways. So if you are a nasty, greedy, horrible person, then I actually kind of secretly hope, and maybe it's not so secret since I'm saying it out loud, that you go away. We don't want you, okay? But most people are actually really good hearted, really giving, really caring individuals who want to help everybody around them. And in order to be able to help others around you, like your friends, your family, whatever, right? You kind of need some money for it. And in today's environment, when inflation is going bananas crazy, you actually need more of it, and it needs to grow at a faster pace than the inflation, right? So, a couple of things. You might have some fears about money. Like, for example, this is not always comfortable for me to talk about, but it is the truth. So, I think it's important to share. For me, for the longest time, I had a fear that if I was to come to more money, that I would turn into a person that might not be as nice or person that drinks more. Growing up, my dad, who was an amazing guy to begin with, but was starting to basically start making more income. But I think there were a lot of other things in his life. Again, I was a kid, so I can only speak from the kid's viewpoint, and that is processing as an adult now. uh, I think there were other pressures in his life, or things that maybe he didn't feel satisfied or adequate about. And unfortunately, as an adult, I don't have an opportunity to talk to him about it, because he passed away not that long ago. Uh, but when he started to come into it, he really was, I think, petrified of losing it all. He grew up in a very large family. He was born just slightly before World War II hit, growing up in Europe, occupied country, right? So we're talking about growing up in a family that had little to no education, little to no resources, being petrified and scared of your life all the time, having to come up with an amazing human skills to survive, even as a young kid. And those things leave deep rooted things in our psyche. As he was becoming an adult and having a job and kind of moving on up and started to make decent money, we were never to like, ooh, we're well off, but decent, especially if you've grown up so poor that you had to share bed with siblings. Having a house on your own with your spouse and kids is a huge improvement. Can we agree to that? So as he was kind of getting to that and having some money and actually having some savings and slowly approaching retirement, he started to, I think, have a lot of challenges and potentially nightmares, and was turning into not the person that I would have enjoyed or have enjoyed to have always encountered. And it is what it is, and it was what it was. But for a very long time, I believe that I too, because of my lived experience, my growing up experience, that if I was to ever come to money, that I would become this person that like starts fights and yell at people and drink a bit too much at times. And when I drink too much at times, that I would be right, like a nasty person to people that should matter the most to me in my life. And for that reason, I struggled a lot for a very long period of time, to be able to accumulate, because whatever money came my way, subconsciously, I was throwing it out there because I had a fear that if I had income, that if I had means, that I had savings, that if I had assets, that if I had money or some sort of wealth whatsoever, that I would turn into a person that I didn't want to be, right? I didn't like how I was treated when that happened. And so I didn't want to become that person. But as I was doing my own personal development and my own financial development and education, I realized that that's not really it, right? It's okay to be aware of it, but it doesn't mean that you will be. If you're not going to be that person, if you don't want to become something, you're never going to be that. I find myself that I am more giving, more caring human because of everything I had happen in my life, and that I'm able to actually do more because of certain levels of wealth that I was able to achieve. For example, doing something like this, where I don't have to record these videos, I don't have to do this stuff, I don't have to offer it for free, but I do it because I know that it can help some people. For some people, you're going to watch this and be like, this guy's crazy, I'm out. That's cool. I'm not everybody's cup of tea or coffee for that matter. And I'm fine with that. But there's going to be people that are going to watch this, they're going to listen to this, and they're going to say, this is very helpful to me, and I want to actually improve my life. And if I can find one human that I can help with or assist, I am happy. And the reason I'm able to do this, all of this, is because I've come to peace with myself that no matter whether I am dirt poor or fabulously rich, I am me. I just happen to be more of me, as in loving, caring, gifting kind of person, when I have more money and more wealth. Why? Because I shift from survival to thrival. And when we are surviving, which trust me, I have been on this side of the house when I'm actually just surviving, we are trying to figure out a way of where's my next meal going to come from? Where am I going to sleep tonight? Am I going to be warm enough? Is it going to be like too cold or too windy or too rainy or whatever tonight? And, how am I going to manage through that? Right? So that's the survival method. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are just basically trying to get to the next day, right? If you come to the point where you're thriving, which is this side over here, that's where you start thinking about Maslow's, right? Like higher pieces of the pyramid, like self-actualization. Well, I've realized, self-actualized, that I enjoy teaching people and helping people. And when I was in a survival mode, like I can't figure out how the heck am I going to like eat today. I can't help anybody else because I'm trying to figure out how the hell do I help myself, right? But if I'm in a position where I'm okay, I have a place to stay, I have an income coming in, I have assets that are doing fine, I have food to eat, I am warm, I'm comfortable, my family's taken care of, now I can focus on who do I want to become when I grow up. That makes sense? Right? So maybe you are in the survival piece and the goal is to get you into the thrival. Maybe you're somewhere in between. You're like, I'm not quite surviving, but I'm not quite thriving either. And that's fine too. Right? So I think it's important to acknowledge which side of the house we're on and to also not have a fear that when you come to this side that you might become something that you're afraid of, because if this is what you're afraid of, you will never get there. Subconsciously your brain is going to prohibit you from going there. This, I think, is the most important lesson ever in this whole series, is to understand what your relationship and beliefs around money are. Okay. Now, here's a couple of things that have helped me in my process. Now, this is not an overnight thing. This is not watch a video or listen to a show for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, once and I am done. This is an ongoing battle that you will have for the rest of your life. Money problems never go away. Just acknowledge it. It just is. It's like food, right? I can't eat today and be like, I don't have to eat for the whole year because I ate today. It doesn't work that way, right? Like I ate today, I might have to eat again today, and then again today, and then tomorrow, right? Same thing. Just like sleep. It's not like, oh, I slept yesterday, so I don't have to sleep for a month. No, I have to sleep tonight and tomorrow night, and right? Uh, so bathing, probably the same thing. Although for some people it might be questionable. They were like, well, I took a bath in 2001. I'm good to 2023. So, but all kidding aside, right? There are certain things that just sort of are. Money problems are a thing. You will either have money problems like not enough money, or you will have money problems of too much money. And there's also one piece to keep in mind is that just because you are today in the problem of I don't have enough money doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be I have too much money, right? And that you will stay in either one of those. It's very fluid and flexible. You can go from I don't have any money and that's my problem. You figure out a way, you make some money, you come to the problem of I have too much money, I don't know what to do with it. And then certain economic things happen, or things happen in your life where you go from I have too much money, I don't know what to do with it, down to I don't have enough money. Example, let's take somebody, a sports figure. Athletes are probably epitome of what I'm talking about here. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them will grow up in households that are maybe not as best off as possible. Maybe some of them are similar in a situation that my dad grew up with, hopefully minus the war piece. And they will go into the point where they end up become professional, say basketball player, where they're earning millions of dollars a year. They don't know how to handle the money that is coming in their way. They have a too much money problem, but they're not realizing that it's too much money problem, and they're also not realizing that after that something else comes along. So they have too much money, too much money, too much money. They're, dinners, girls, cars, travel, drugs, maybe even. I don't know. I'm not saying they are. But again, right? You understand all kinds of random things. And then what happens is that you hear it that so many of them just go back from all of that down to, I don't have enough. I have another sort of money problem. And what I'm saying is those things are very fluid. Similar, another great example would be people that win a lottery, right? You play a lotto, all of a sudden you get like, you win the mega millions. Now you have like 100 millions. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, no, no, not me, Nav. I know exactly what I would do. Well, all of them say that. Come on, guys. Everybody says that. Uh, and so now you win, hundreds of millions of dollars and you go bananas, right? And then what do? At the end, the money eventually kind of runs out because, again, we're not taught exactly what to do with our money or how to behave. We don't spend enough time thinking about our relationship with money. All of those things play a big part. And so not only do they lose everything they gained, believe it or not, they often end up being financially worse off at the end of the whole thing than they were before. And so, for all of those reasons, I think it's important for us to understand what relationship do we have with money? What beliefs do we have around it? What beliefs do we want to have about money? What relationship do we want to have with our money? And also to understand that, maybe I wasn't taught how to actually deal with money. Because here's another example. This is more recent that I think is going to affect way more people. 2020, 2021. It just happened, right? So it should be fairly easy to remember, recall in your memory. What did we have, at least in US, but I think most of the world had it as well? We called the thing called stimmies. That's right. Government sent us all this money. Now, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but for some people, it was a plenty, plenty, plenty amount of money. Now, with people coming in with money, what happened is that money would come in and people, we've seen people starting to trade like crazy. We've seen people start to buy like crazy, like shopping was out of this world. They were ordering things, putting in the new, wheels on their cars and new sound systems and new kicks and whatever, right? Was coming in. And then the stimmies kind of went away and we went from, high borrowing, right? We were on the high borrowing component. And then stimulus came in and we went to like borrowing, right? Like people in debt was like really, really low. And the savings were really, really high. And now we're like coming back where the debt is actually higher than we were prior to the stimulus and saving was actually even lower. And that's nationwide and I would argue worldwide. Now, yes, I would say that part of it also has to do with the inflation and so on. But for the vast majority of people, they didn't know how to handle having more money. I'm going to use myself an example as well to really drive home the point here, what I'm trying to say. When I started my first job, my first ever job out of college, I was making $20,000 a year. Now, because I was a student and I was trying to figure out how the heck do I live off of like $1 a month, $20,000 was like huge amount of money. If you were to ask me, I mean, I would have thought that I was a multi-billionaire 10 times over. It was only 20 grand. I mean, right? Like, let's put things into perspective. I'm not trying to play it down. I wouldn't complain if somebody sent me 20 grand, out of random to say thanks, as I'm sure you wouldn't either. However, to me, that was like world. It was life changing. But what happened pretty soon? Pretty soon, I adjusted to that level of income and my desires went on up. So the very next job I got was 20, or actually we got a raise a year or 2 years later, something like that. It was $28,000. Now that was a pretty big jump, but because I already adjusted to the 20 and I was anticipating this 28, I started to spend as if I was having 28. As I moved on up in a career, I started to make more money. But the problem is that my expenses were keeping up with my income. Do you see a problem? Do you recognize the story as well? To the point where I came to some level where I was making 40,000, so twice as much, but I was broker at 40 than I was at 20. That's highly problematic. And that's what we see a lot happening with folks, that when we start making more money, we start spending even more than we should. So the tricky part is A, acknowledge and understand the relationship with money that you have and you want to have, the beliefs about money that you have and you want to have. And if you are actively learning, you're writing this down because, aka, this is homework, hint, hint. So, anyways, the next piece is the income that you're earning. You also want to think through of, how do I continue to grow my income and keep my expenses steady? Ah, tricky, tricky. See, if you like me by now, you probably don't like me now. And I will tell you, you're not going to like me a whole lot in the next episodes that we talk about, because I will speak the truth. It might be my truth. And if you are getting upset, it might be your truth as well. But we are not very good about keeping our expenses to a steady level while increasing our income. We typically increase our income and expense level in parallel, and often some of us, not everybody, but some of us increase our expenses at a much higher rate than we increase our income. As time goes on, do you see a difference? Down here, right at the beginning of the time, it's fine, it's manageable because it's matching. As time progresses, we find ourselves having way more debt and more expenses than our income can meet. And that is how and why we go from not enough money, too much money, back to not enough money. That's how we find ourselves swinging between side to side and having challenges. That's one of the reasons. Other reasons could be that maybe you had a business and you lost the business, or economic shift came and took things away. You were, say, in a publicly traded company and you had a bunch of shares that were valued $1,000 a share. Now they're valued at $1 a share. And all of a sudden you went from multi-billionaire to, like, I don't know, thousand a year. Is that a thing? Do you call that? I don't know. But you understand what I'm saying. So part of the challenge is coming up with strategies and ways to really set yourself up. Now, I know that the goal of increasing our income is so that we can afford a better life. The challenge is that if I spend 80% of my income at $20,000 and 80% of income at $100,000, I only have 20% to save up for investments for all these different things, right? So that's sort of the challenge. But if I can keep my, say that my spending when I was earning $20,000 was $15,000 a year, and I'm earning $100,000 a year today, and I can still keep my expenses at 15,000, or maybe because of inflation and everything else, it's like 25 or 30. Now I'm able to save 70% of my income, which means I am able to grow my wealth at a much faster pace. That's the reason why I'm saying focus on keeping your expenses as steady as possible and even potentially drive them down. And we're going to talk more about money in the next episodes, I promise. But that's kind of the thing to start thinking about and jotting things down. Jotting things down of, how do I feel about that? Can I do that or not? Right? Some people are saying, sorry, I can't do this, I'm out. And that's okay. I think it's just being honest with yourself. I'm never going to see what you have to say. You don't have to show it to anybody else, but I think you need to know what your thoughts are and feelings are about that. Because if you are a type of person saying, like, never going to happen, I'm never going to do that, like, if my income goes up, I'm going to go and spend more. Fine. That's cool. No problem, right? Like, we all have a life to live, and that's fine. The other piece is to also think about is that if you are a spender, constantly a spender, and you're wondering, like, why I don't have money, that's part of your problem. You need to acknowledge that and come up with ways of how to deal with it. Maybe curbing down of what you're doing and how you're behaving around it. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are the reasons for it? If you're the saver, you are probably risk averse and you're thinking, like, well, the money in a bank account is safe and I'm comfortable. I want you to think about a couple of things. One, the money in that savings account is earning, maybe if you're lucky, 0.1% of interest. However, inflation, as of right now, at the day that we are recording the video and recording this particular session, inflation is between 7.4 and 15.2%. That means that you're losing roughly anywhere between 7 to 15% per year by having your money into the savings account. That means you're losing on your purchasing power. That's just the same as if you were to go out to spend it. At least the person spending it all is having a good old time. You're not even having a good time, and you're still going to end up not having as much purchasing power as you have. So that's number one. Number two to keep in mind is while FDIC insurance is a thing, there's also a lot of proof out there that says that FDIC insurance could not cover everybody's $250,000 in the US. I know in Europe it's different and around the world it's different, but that piece does not actually guarantee it or cover it. So you're not as safe as you think you are. So hopefully this is helpful to you. I know this was a much longer session than before, but I hope that we've covered a lot of things that hopefully made you laugh a little bit, acknowledge some of the things about yourself, and I hope that you will spend time jotting down some of the things that we talked about. Your beliefs, what you want them to be, your relationship, what you want it to be, what kind of person you are around money, what are the fears, what are the benefits, what do you want. All these things are important to understand and acknowledge, and above all, also to look at as your income goes up. Are you going to be able to be disciplined enough to keep it the same as it is now? So thank you for watching. If you've learned anything whatsoever in this, we're enjoying it, you find it at least, helpful, inspirational, funny, whatever, make sure you do me a huge favor. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified when the next video comes up, because we're going to move on from the mindset on to the money, which we already started to talk about. Until then, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.